What are your impressions of Southern Hills?
I didn't know what to expect. I'd never played here before, so coming in here, I didn't really have any expectations. Somebody said it was sort of like a big ballpark comparable to Colonial. So like a big, long Colonial. I was like, all right, well, I played pretty well at Colonial last year. So, but it's just one of those golf courses that if you're in the fairway, you still got to be careful with spin and spinning it off greens, and just be careful where you put it on the green. So it's just going to be a tough test, a good PGA Championship. Greens aren't going to be overly fast. The greens are too undulated to really get them some crazy speeds, but it's going to be warm, so the ball's going to be traveling.
Yeah. So obviously, you are one of the longest hitters on tour. Is distance going to be like a real advantage this week, or would you say it's a combination of, distance always an advantage, but you have to be in the fairway?
I think it's one of those golf courses that's going to bode well for a high ball hitter. There's a certain couple holes where you got to be careful with spinning it off of a couple of greens, but being able to hit it high on some of these par threes and being able to stop it in some different spots, especially coming out of the rough. I think distance is going to, be a big key factor, because you're going to be able to take some bunkers out of play. And when you're hitting it out of these, out of the rough here, it's playable, but the ball jumps quite a bit. So you're going to have to judge that. And with kind of like a wedge or, a 9-iron, 8-iron, you're going to be able to, control that a little bit better than, maybe like a 5 or 6-iron, depending on what you're hitting into some of these pretty long par fours.
What about the par fives? I spoke to Leishman and Ryan Palmer, who have made it quite clear that they will not be going for the par fives in two. But what about you?
It's one of those places that they move some tee boxes well back, depending on the wind and wind direction and how hard it's going to blow. I don't foresee guys going for it. I went for it today on, I think number 5 is a long par 5. So I went for it and I got it there in 2 today, but I don't foresee myself going for it. It's kind of one of those holes and a green that sets up better for a wedge than a 3-iron off or a 3-wood off the downslope. So I don't foresee myself going for it in 2, but it's going to be a golf course that you got to hit a lot of fairways and, just kind of take birdie chances where they come. Like, you're going to be able to use some slopes here and there, but you can't play overly aggressive here. And if you're out of position, you got to play short of the hole. You can't play long.
Okay. What about these greens then? Because they're a real trademark of the course, and I've heard so much about the fact that, they're so undulated, they're perched up. You've got these runoffs that if your ball starts running, it's not going to stop for a while.
There's definitely some spots where the ball will not stop for quite a while. Number 10, especially off the left side of 10, is going to, run off, 30 or 40 yards. But the fairways are pretty generous, and the fairway length is a little bit longer than, a major championship. So the ball's not really rolling off as much as I thought it would be. I mean, if it was really, really tight, this place could play extremely hard, but I think they're a little bit more generous, and they had a good feel for, what the golf course is going to play like from last year's senior PGA.
Okay. How does this compare to other major venues, and in particular other PGA Championship venues?
I think the golf course stacks up right along with, Belle Reve or any of the other great golf courses, historic places. So, obviously, I think I saw a stat that Southern Hills has hosted more PGA Championships than any other golf club. So it's definitely a major championship venue. A couple of odd tee shots over top of greens to add some length. So it's an odd thing, and I think they're going to move some tee boxes up for pace of play for the first couple of days. But I think once the weekend comes around, I think you'll see some of those tee boxes more in use.
It's a 13 tee. You have to hit directly over 12 green.
Yes, 13 tee box goes directly over the middle of 12 green, and when people are putting, they're going to have to stand off to the side. It's going to be kind of odd. Like, you get to 2, 3, 5 and 6 are all kind of like right there in the same general area. And there's going to be a lot of action and a lot of waiting and making sure that you're not in front of anybody. And it'll be an interesting week, but I think they'll do a good job setting up the tee boxes where we're going to be able to play the pace of play, and not so much that people get in there everybody else's way.
Okay, great. Well, let's talk about your game because, well, it's safe to say things have been going very well. It's been a fantastic year, a real career-defining year for you, and things show no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, I mean, the great equalizer in that the flat stick has still been working. Not quite as hot as it has been, but I think I putt faster, bent greens a little bit better. B-Rob's amazing. So I'm looking forward to a good week. I've kind of been struggling with the driver the last, 5 or 6 months, not driving it bad, but just not up to my standards, my personal standards. So last week I kind of got a swing feel, a swing thought that I started hitting the ball right out of the middle of the face and really started to drive it pretty nicely. So last 3 days in the practice rounds, I've driven it really nicely, which is going to be a huge key to hit some short irons into some of these long par fours and, be able to, maybe take some bunkers out of play or some hazards out of play. So I'm looking forward to the week, and, I can't wait to get started.
I love that you always give D-Rob so much credit, and you guys are such a fantastic team, but, he's really helped with your putting. And you said that when, you got your first win, that you give him a lot of credit for the role that he's played in that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I called him, the better part of 5 years ago now. And I said, I think I can handle the ball striking along with my swing coach, Drew Steckel. And I think if you can help me around the greens and just some of your knowledge around the greens and your knowledge with green reading, I think we'll be a pretty tough team to beat. So, we have a good time out on the golf course, and he definitely doesn't let me get away with anything. So, he keeps me honest, and I'm trying to work hard and, play some good golf and have a little bit of fun out there with him.
Well, you've both been reaping the fruits of your labour for the last year or so, which has been great to see. And you know that we're huge fans and we're always celebrating it. But it's, hopefully this week sets up great for your game. And it was Ryan Palmer that had said as well that the course is really like Colonial on steroids. That's exactly what he said. And obviously, like, he is his home.
Literally on steroids.
Yeah, you love it. You've got great memories. So that's a good little nugget to have in your mind.
For sure. Defending next week at Colonial and then playing a golf course that's, very similar to Colonial. Just it's just a little bit longer instead of, hitting the 3 or 4 iron off of tees, which I'm definitely going to do on some of the shorter holes here at Southern Hills. But I'm definitely going to take advantage of the driver where I can. At Colonial, you don't do that as much. So, but here, you got, 520 yard par fours, and you've got, 480 yard par fours. You got a plethora of golf holes. I mean, there's, it's 377 on one of the par fours. So, you get a big mixed bag of a lot of things here. But the par threes are extremely long, and, they're tough. They're smaller green complexes on some of them. But, the greens coming into them from the fairway, they look big. But then when you get up on top of them, the ball's not going to stop in certain spots. So you're hitting to a very kind of small area on these greens.
And then with the Gilhan's renovation that they did in 2019, they removed a lot of trees, so it really opened it up. So I guess do you feel like there's more room off the fairways? I know you didn't play it before, but does it feel quite roomy?
There are some spots where it definitely feels where you can, miss it in some spots. I've heard in the past this place used to be kind of like a bowling alley. So, I definitely think it's not quite as tight as I was expecting it to be coming into this week. But, you definitely have to take some tight lines off these tee boxes because there's a lot of slope in some of the fairways and you can get some pretty major kicks. So, depending on the firmness of the fairways, how much they get firm and fast throughout the week. I don't think we have any rain in our forecast, but if they firm it up, the fairways get a little bit smaller out there, but it's one of those places that you definitely want to hit the fairway where you can. I'm going to hit a couple 3-woods. You'll see a lot of 3-woods off of, I think number 5, the par 5 to take some of the bunkers out of play and, just make it a true 3-shot hole.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your time. We're excited. Let's see a major victory added to that resume of yours, and we'll be cheering for you this week for sure.
He would definitely know, but I'm looking forward to the challenge on the golf course and the challenge that holds later on after I hoist that trophy, hopefully.